have for a thrill. We have stories of the dead coming back to
life to tales of the
night evil.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
The All-American Spookshow.
Hello, welcome to the All-American Spookshow Podcast, Top 13 Favorite Horror Films, Halloween 2019 edition. This will be the first year that we have the chance to do this, and this being around the time of our first anniversary, we figured this will be a good time to kind of throw some of our favorite movies out there for you guys to check out. And also, it's kind of a little fun countdown, taking us all the way up to Halloween Day on October 31st. Each episode, you'll hear from myself, Josh. You'll also hear from Will, and you'll hear from the Professor Smoak. You'll hear our top 13 favorite horror films. Not necessarily the best 13 horror films, but our own personal favorites, although many of the best will certainly appear on this list. As always, before we get into it, you can check us, you can send any comments or anything about, how you feel about our list, whatever you want to say. We'll read them out on the podcast. You can email us at allamericanspookshow@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at @AASpookshow. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can find us by searching All-American Spookshow. And we have a TeePublic page if you want to go over there and buy some logo merchandise. So without any further ado, here is our number 13 favorite films. First you'll start with mine, then you'll see Will's, and then you'll see Smoak's. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you tomorrow for number 12 on our all-time top 13 favorite horror films list.
Welcome to a night of total terror. Night of the living dead, the dead who live on living flesh, the dead whose haunted souls hunt the living whose bodies are the only food for these ungodly creatures. Night of the living dead. A bizarre adventure in fear. An experience in shock more shattering than your strangest nightmare. Night of the living dead. A night with the dead who cannot die. A night of total terror. Night of the living dead.
Number 13 on my list is Night of the Living Dead by George A. Romero from 1968. It definitely will not be the last Romero movie that appears on my list, I can tell you that much. A few years back at a horror convention, I had a chance to meet Judith O'Dea, who plays Barbara in the film. She was one of the nicest ladies I've ever met. She signed my Night of the Living Dead movie poster, so that'll be something I definitely always cherish. Also, Dwayne Jones, that plays Ben in this movie, really is a standout for me in this film. Both of them do a terrific job in this movie. I mean, just the tone of this movie. This film was really kind of one of the first of its kind back then. And honestly, without this movie, the zombie genre of horror films probably may not even be a thing today. I mean, Romero defined the genre with this movie and started it all. We owe The Walking Dead and pretty much just about anything zombie related, it all roots back to this movie. So if for no other reason than that, this is why it appears on, this movie appears on my list. I've always enjoyed this movie pretty much ever since I started watching horror movies, really. It's always on my October playlist. I'm sure I'm like everyone else. You kind of have like this little running list of movies that you try to make sure you watch around Halloween. and this is one of mine for sure. Just everything about it, I love the music. Just the way the movie plays along, the way it ends. It doesn't end in your typical. It definitely the ending of it doesn't end like your typical movie. It's pretty grim, but I've just always enjoyed this one. So that's why this one lands at number 13 on my list. Night of the Living Dead from 1968, George A. Romero classic.
I got this feeling. This weird feeling. The cabin starts to shake, right? And the left side blows up, and then the whole plane just explodes. The plane's gonna explode! It's not a joke! It's not a joke!
We get thrown off the plane all because Brownie has a bad dream?
I saw it.
The plane! It's gonna blow up! It's gonna blow up!
All 287 passengers are feared dead.
Because of you, I'm still alive.
In death, there are no accidents. No coincidences. And no escapes.
Did it happen again? Did you see Todd die?
What if it was our time? What if we were not meant to get off that plane? What if there is a design, then it's not finished?
By walking off the plane, you're cheating death. You have to figure out when it's coming back at you.
What are you, God now?
He knows which one of us is next.
You have a responsibility to tell me.
I knew I should have hit on Tammy in the pool that time.
I'm not gonna let it happen, okay?
Nobody has control over life and death unless they are taking lives and causing death. Now, can you promise me that no one else is going to die?
Get out!
I'll see you soon.
Man, Final Destination. I really had to put this on this list just for the gruesome death scenes that's in it. It's kind of an interesting concept for death itself to come for you when you're able to escape. Kind of shows that it's impossible to get away from. But just the Rube Goldberg experiment of death, of trying to the wind blows and this leads to that, so on and so forth, and then like a block of knives stabs you in the back. It's a crazy watch.
Not since Dracula stalked the earth has the world known so terrifying a day or night.
It is I who renounce you, and in the name of Satan I place a curse upon you.
Black Sunday is like no motion picture you have ever seen. There are those who believe and those who do not. But both must know the suspense, the shock of meeting the living dead and of bringing the dead to life.
Look into my eyes. Embrace me. You will die, but I can bring you pleasures mortals cannot know.
Black Sunday, the most terrifying motion picture you'll ever see. Satan, wearing strange robes and fighting with all the furies of Hades, arouses the countryside to a frenzy of black terror.
This is the Professor, and the movie is Black Sunday, aka The Mask of Satan. So this was came out in 1960, directed by the Italian maestro of the macabre, Mario Bava, and it was his first official directorial credit. Prior to this movie, he was known as an accomplished cinematographer, but he had taken over the directing reins from some directors of a handful of movies from 1956 to 1959 when those directors stepped down from the project for whatever reason. He completed a few of these films, so the producers gave him pretty much any leeway on what movie he wanted to do for his debut. He chose to adapt a novella from Russian author Nikolai Gogol, and then the story was called The V-I-Y, The V. And he took the story, adapted it into Black Sunday, loosely based on the V story. And like I said, he was a cinematographer first and foremost, and he also did the cinematography on his own movies. It was shot black and white, and it's really lush photography, looks great, really brings out the gothic atmosphere of it. If you haven't seen this movie, and you're a fan of classic horror, Italian horror, gothic horror movies, then do yourself a favor, seek it out, watch it, you'll love it. And if you are interested in it and you like it, then I'd suggest you check out that short story or the novella by Nikolai Gogol that it's based on, again, called The V. It's been translated in English, great story. And also there's a movie from 1967, Russian horror movie, called The V, adapted directly from that story, and that's also worth seeking out. So again, Mario Bava's Black Sunday from 1960, great film, give it a go.
So there you have it. This has been our own personal favorite number 13 movies. Like I said, we're going to be counting down each day here on the YouTube channel. Be sure to check out our the normal All-American Spookshow podcast. It doesn't up to this point, it doesn't come out with necessarily any distinct time or regularity. Usually every couple of weeks we have 2 or 3 weeks we have a new episode. So yeah, you can find us on all your normal regular podcast catching places. So just check us out. Search for All-American Spookshow Podcast. And if you give us a listen and you enjoy it, make sure to drop us a 5-star review. That kind of thing helps out, helps it get out to the masses. So this is Josh for Will and for Smoak. This has been number 13 on our top 13 favorite horror movie Halloween 2019 edition countdown. Be sure to come back tomorrow for number 12. Thanks a lot.